ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर्श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य तोन्मयादितरतश्चार्थेषु भिग्यस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदि कवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारि मृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, chapter number 21, beginning from verse number 13. The story of Prithu Maharaj, and Sri Maitreya is explaining how Prithu returned to his kingdom, his capital, after he got the blessings of the Lord. He has been out from the capital for a long time because he was engaged in performing the sacrifices. So he was received very nicely when he returned, and then he was ruling over the world very happily. Everything was going nicely. So there was no opposition to him. It was described sarvatra askhalita desa, means no one thought or dared to oppose him, and he ruled peacefully except Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Now in the upcoming verses there is description of his teachings to people, and it also describes what is actually the real role of a king. So it says, Ekdasin Mahasatra Diksha Tatra Divokasam Samajo Brahmarshinam Cha Rajarshinam Cha Sattamaha. Once upon a time, he took Diksha or initiation for a big Satra or assembly, association. And in that assembly, there were devatas from the upper planetary systems. There were Brahma Rishis, the great sages, the knowers of the Vedas, and Rajarshis, many royal kings, royal sages. Because many kings used to renounce their kingdom on the last part of their life and take to renounced order or vanprastha and lead a saintly life. So they had all assembled in that place. Tasmin narhatsu sarveshu svarchitesu yatharhatha uttitaha sadaso madhye tarana muduradiva. So when all these people had assembled there, then he worshipped everyone according to their status and satisfied everyone. And after that he stood up in the midst of the assembly. And he appeared like a moon among the stars. So, just as in the assembly, sometimes we speak while sitting down, sometimes the speaker he stands and others are sitting. And whoever wants to speak, he has to stand up. So he also stood up to address the assembly. And then in next 4 or 5 verses there is actually a description of his beauty, how he appeared when he had assembled, when he stood up. So this was also some sacrifice he was going to do. Satra also means a sacrifice, because he said he took diksha. And this yajna has different meaning. It comes from the root dhatu yaj, which means dev puja, samviti karma, dan. There are 3 major meanings of the root yaj, which means to worship, from which the word yajna comes. And so meaning is you worship the deity and there is some charity which is given. And sangati karma means that there is association. So sacrifice was performed maybe morning, evening for a certain period of time, and then there was also group discussions, seminars, talks on spiritual topics. Different topics were discussed related with sacrifice or philosophy. And this is how you see all these samhitas were made. And you have Charak Samhita, you have Brahma Samhita. So these are collections of these discussions. Samhita basically means a collection. So he stood up and then he wanted to speak. So Maitreya is first describing his person. Pransho pinayuta bhujo gaura kanja runekshanaha sunasaha sumukha sumya pinansa sudhuja smitaha. So these days also they have this competitions for beauty contests, Mr. Universe, Miss Universe. So this is the concept of beauty described here. He was tall, Pransu, and Pinayut Bhuja, he had very thick arms, and he was golden in color, and his eyes were reddish, like lotus eyes, and reddish in color. He had a raised nose and very beautiful and pleasing face, and very strong, thick shoulders, and beautiful teeth, and nice smile on his face. That's why we were able to see the teeth. Vyuda Vaksha, he had a very wide chest, and Brihach Shoni, also wide hips, and Vali Valgu Dalodar. And then he had stomach which was shaped like the leaf of this Aswatha tree. You've seen Aswatha tree. like the heart sign they make. So means wide at top and then coming down, slender waist basically. And there were 3 lines on the belly. Avarta Nabhi, and he had a deep navel with a twist. Ojasvi, and he looked very strong. Kanchan Uru Dagrapat. He had thighs like golden pillars, and his feet were raised from the front. Suksam Vakrashita Snigdha Murdhaja Kambukandharaha Mahadane Dukulagre Paridhayo Paviyacha. He had very fine, curly black, and snigdh means oily hair. And he had neck which was like a conch. Nice thick. And he was only having 2 pieces of cloth. One was dhoti and another chadar on top. That's why you could see the body. So paridhaya upaviyacha dukulagri. So nice fine cloth. And Vyanjit Ashesh Gatra Sthir Niyame Nasta Bhushana. And because he had taken this niyam, or he was following the principle of sacrifice, therefore he was not wearing any ornaments. And because he was not wearing any ornaments, therefore one could see his whole body. Otherwise kings wear a lot of ornaments, armor and armlets and kinds of things, necklaces. So now he had removed all that. So therefore it says Nasta Bhushana, means that the ornaments were kept aside. And Krishna Jinadhara Sriman Kushapani Kutojit. And he was wearing the deer skin around his waist, and he was holding kusha in his hand. So this kusha grass is considered as very purifying and auspicious, and we make a ring out of it, wear it, it's called pavitra.
Why the deer skin? Why the deer skin? What's the significance?
Deer skin is also considered as pure. When you sit down, you don't soil your cloth.
Yeah, but wearing it.
You put it around and you sit.
Oh, okay.
If you do sacrifice, your hand may be touching the ghee or ornaments, and you touch your cloth. So it's practical.
So it's particularly connected with sacrifices.
Yeah. And there is a special type of deer, their skin was used, this Krishna ji.
Babaji, you were describing his eyes. You said he had red eyes. Is this red pupils or the whites of his eyes were red?
The white of the eye, the
It was
reddish.
red.
Not reddish, but like pinkish. Just like when the sun is rising, that color. So instead of this being white, it looks that color. That's why they are compared to the lotus leaf. Lotus leaf also has that color. शिशिर स्निग्ध ताराक्ष समक्षत समन्तथा ऊंचीवानिद मुरलीशा सदा संहर्षण. So then he spoke to the people So he looked around with his beautiful, affectionate eyes. Shishir means cooling, and Snigdha means affectionate, and Tara is the pupil of the eye. So Taraksha means his eyes were very cooling. It's like lotus is supposed to be very pleasing to look at. So he looked around and everybody was very pleased. So he spoke, he looked first all around, Samakshat Samantati. Because when you speak, you also have to know the audience. So he looked around at everybody, and then the king, he spoke, giving pleasure to everybody. Everybody was just very eager to hear him, what he is going to say. Charu Chitrapadam Slakshnam Vishtam Gudham Aviklavam Sarvesham Upkarartham Tada Anuvadam. So he spoke a very beautiful speech, and it was made up of very wonderful words, and it was very sweet to hear and very deep in meaning, and without any flaw or any faltering. So he spoke like in a very nice poetic manner, well constructed sentences. Mrishta means that there were no grammatical mistakes. And Sarvasham Upkarartham. The most important thing was that his speech was beneficial. It was meant to give benefit to everybody. And then he continued as follows. So there is not much commentary on the verse, just meaning of the words. Yudham Vistirnam Vaksho Yasya Sa, had wide chest, Balibhir Tisribhir Valgu Sundaram Dalvat, Adhogram Ashwatha Patram Eva Upari, Vistritam Adhastat Sankushita Muduram. He explaining how his belly looked like, comparing it to the leaf of an Ashwatha tree, and then explaining the Nabhi, and twirling in the clockwise direction, and his feet, and then Charu Manoharatvat. So his speech was very beautiful, attracting, and Chitrapadam means that the words had all kind of aesthetic components and to call these alankaras in a sense. So it was very ornamented, the words which he used, and sweet to hear, no defects. Gudham means Savyangam, means it was deep meaning, means it was not just the direct meaning of the word, but there was also meaning behind it, implied meaning. And Aviklavam Chatiti Arthabodham, it was not difficult to understand. You could understand what he was saying. So then he starts as follows. Raja Uvacha, the king said, Sabhyaha sunutay bhadram vah sadhavo yaiha gataha satsu jigyasu bhi dharmam avedyam suminishitam. So assembly in Sanskrit is called Sabha, and those who go to assembly or who are qualified to be part of assembly, they are called Sabhya, which is translated as cultured people. Because to be a part of Sabha and assembly, one must follow certain etiquette, standard, certain protocol. So he is addressing them. Sabhya means you learned, qualified members of this assembly, please, Bhadram well, let there be all auspiciousness to you. And O sadhus, O gentle people who have assembled here, please listen to me. What I have to say. Satso jigyasu bhir dharmam avedyam samanishita. Those who are jigyasu about dharma, or who want to understand the principles of religion, whatever they understand or they have considered, they should offer it, submit it in the assembly of saintly people, so that one can ratify it, get it authorized. If there is any defect, it can be discussed. So he is speaking like that. साधवो हि य इति अन्यैर अत्र आगतैरपि मम न प्रयोजनमिति. So he is referring the people as sadhus, which he comments that his interest is only in speaking to the sadhus or learned people. And even if other people have come in assembly, he is not concerned about them. Because he is going to speak something which others can understand and maybe comment. If they are not sadhu, then it is pointless. Nacha nirpattvadaham yusman kimapi adishami shasmi. Because I am a king, therefore do not think that I am ordering you or I am controlling you or I am giving you some instruction. No, that is not the truth. Kintu kimapi jigyasuraham yusmabhireva shasaniya adeshtavyascha. Rather, I am a jigyasu, I am a person who is looking for knowledge, I am inquisitive, and therefore I should be actually instructed by you and governed by you. Satsu sadhusu bhagyatah praptesu satsu dharmam jigyasu bhikumbhi swamanishitam savicharitam avedyam gatitam arhamye sveshu pramanya bhavavati. By fortune, if one meets the sadhus, the saintly people, learned people, then those who are jigyasu, they should speak their own understanding, what they have understood or what they have deliberated upon. This is indeed proper, because they themselves are not the authority. Those who are jigyasus. So in other words, king is not speaking very proudly, he is speaking in a very humble manner. And he is going to give nice instruction, but he says that this is what I think is appropriate. And I am just submitting my understanding. So he says, Aham dandadharo raja prajanami he yojitaha rakshita vritti dhasveshu setusu sthapita prithak. He says that I have been appointed as the king, and Lord has appointed me to rule over the people. Prajanami he raja, and I am the dandadhara, means I am the carrier of the rod of chastisement, or to control people. And what is actually my duty, he explains that. So, number one, to give protection. Number two, to give job to everybody. And number three, to make sure that everybody is following their prescribed duties. Everybody is engaged in their dharma. So he says, this is the job of king, this is what I have been appointed for. So ruler, he said that I have been given this job. So number one is I am the Rakshita. The duty of the king or of the state is to give protection to people. Not that strong are exploiting the weak, or thieves are plundering the courts or everything. So they must be given protection. That is number one. And number two, Vrittida. Everybody should have some means for sustenance. And number three, Svesu Saitasu Stapita. That everybody is following the rules and regulations, their Maryada, their duties. So he says this is what I am supposed to do. Nachatvam Raja Asmakam Aradhaniya iti vachya. So just because I am the king, don't think that I am your worshipable. It's other way around. I am the servant. Pratyut yusmakam eva vrityadi sadhan lakshane aradhane parmeshwarena ham pravartite. He says, rather the king, I have been appointed by the Supreme Lord to worship you in the sense of protecting you, giving you joy. So don't think that I am here just that you worship me and you respect me. Bhatra Parmeshwarana Niyojita. So king, I have been employed as king by the Supreme Lord. Putra Kutra Karmani Tyatyaha Dandadhari. In what type of works? So he says Dandadhara. Vikarma Roga Upsaman Aushad Rupa Dandadhara. So what is the meaning of Dandadhara? That if people are performing forbidden activities, then I have to correct them. It's like if someone falls sick, then that person has to be given medicine to remove the disease. In the same way, I have the danda to correct those who do not, or who transgress the law, who are engaged in forbidden acts. Rakshita iti dasyu choradibhyo rakshani. Then I am being appointed as protector from thieves, rogues, dacoits. And Vrittida iti jivika pradana. I have been appointed to give employment to everybody. Everybody has means for living, sustenance. And Svesu Setushu Prathak Prathak Sthapayita. And I have been also appointed to make sure that everybody is engaged in their religious duties. So not only duty in the sense that you could do your 9 to 5 job, that is only vritti, means duty, service or job to get money for your sustenance, but also doing the dharmic duty, that is important. So prati swavarna ashramadi dharma maryada sthapni. That everybody according to the varna, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and according to the ashrama, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, has their respective duties, so they must be observed by everyone. So he says, this is my job. Because before this king, Vena was there, his father, and these things were disrupted. So he has to establish them. Iti yusmakam bahuvid paricharan bharom and murdhani nyasto vartate iti. He says, therefore, there is a heavy weight of service on my head to take care of all you people. It is not that I am here just to get some respects, worship and gifts from tasme tadanusthanadi anahu yanahur brahmavadinaha lokasu kam sandoha yasya tushyati dushtadrik. So he says that all the practices of these various things, they have been instructed by the sages who know the Vedas. And Yanahu Brahmavadina Lokasu Kama Sandeha Yasya Tushyati. By following them, Lord is pleased, and then I will get all my desires fulfilled. So what he is saying is that if I perform these duties, and how to perform them, because he has only listed these duties, but how he has to execute them, he says that is according to the description of the great sages, the knower of the Vedas. And if I do that, then I will attain the planets where all my wish will be fulfilled, because this is pleasing to the Lord. So if king performs his duties properly, then Lord is pleased, and then king attains the benefit of doing that duty properly. Yaudharayat karam raja praja dharme swasikshayan prajanam samalam bhunkte bhavam chasum jahati sa. On the other hand, if a king does not instruct his subjects on the path of dharma and only takes their tax, then he verily becomes implicated in the sin of the people and loses whatever opulence he has. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti says that Tasyaham pratimasikam prativarshikam vetanam api prapnam. So he says that by doing my respective duties, I am also getting the result every month, every year. Tasya mam tattat swakarma anushthanat yan lokan prapyan brahmavadinahuste shiriti. So by performing these activities which I have listed, then I will attain the planets which the knowers of the Vedas have described. Lokaha paratrika, loka here means the planets other than where he is living. Madechchanurupa, as for my desire. Kamanam tadavilashetanam samyak dohat prapam. And all my desires will be fulfilled in these places. Yasya mamayati dishtadrik sarvadharma sakshi matprabhu. Because my Lord, who is the witness of everything, he will be pleased. Yavanuktam teneva shreya prajapalmaneva. So that is the shreya, by taking care of the people. Kincha mam krityasu madhye dharma pravartanam eva mukhyam nityam cha yadabhave mama api anishtam syat. So he says that among all my duties, responsibilities, the most important is to establish dharma. And regularly, not that you do it once and then leave it. Mukhyam nityam. So this is the eternal duty or regular duty. I have to do that to make sure that dharma is established in the society. And if I don't do this, then even I will be in trouble. Then I will lose everything I have. So this is the most important duty of the king or the state, to establish dharma in the society. Because if dharma is there, then other things will come. Sometimes there may be problem because many things depend on the nature. If there are farmers, they are engaged in their farming, there is no rain, or there are some natural calamities, then nothing can be done about that, but people should continue performing dharma. So he said, this is my prime duty. And the other ones, vritti, protection, they are secondary. So now this is the part which is missing in the present states. States takes no responsibility of dharma. They actually become secular, not concerned about your dharma. So their welfare state, they want to make sure that you have enough for survival, education, lifestyle, life standard. But what you do after that, that is not their concern. So why dharma is mukhya? Because principle, because if we have nice facility to live, we have food, we have job, and there is no dharma, then what is the purpose of life? Dharmena hina pasubhi samana. We are like animals. Animals also don't take part in any dharma. They are not thinking of spiritual upliftment. And if human beings do not consider spiritual upliftment as the goal of their life, then they can have job, they can have house, education, security, no thieves, but still it doesn't mean anything. Because human life is meant for something higher. Dharmasya hi apargasya nartha artha. Dharma is for upvarga, to become free from the material bondage. So, and artha is meant for dharma. So, if one is not engaging one's life for that, then it's useless. That's why I say that this is the prime duty. And that is only pleasing to the Lord. Krishna says, Dharma sansthapanartha sambhavami yuga yuga. That I come to establish dharma. It does not say that I come to give job to everybody. When people are jobless and high unemployment, then I will come, create job. He didn't say that. It says he comes for establishing dharma. Because dharma is that which upholds the society. If dharma is not there, then sooner or later the economy will collapse. Or the whole system will collapse. It doesn't matter whether it is communism or democracy or socialism. Without dharma it will not work. So the very word dharma comes from the root dhri, which means that which supports, which upholds. So human society is supported by dharma. So therefore dharma has to be protected. Dharmo rakshati rakshita. Dharmo dharete praya. So dharma is that which keeps society functioning. And if that is missing, or if we do not follow dharma, then we are not protected. And we are in trouble. So for that reason he said that this is the main one. And if one is not performing this duty, then whatever one has, it will be lost. For sure. Because then one is simply taking tax from people and not giving back as establishment of establishing the dharma. Tat praja bhartri pindartham swarthameva anusuyavaha kuruta dhokshad dhiyas tarhi yanugraha krita me anugraha krita. So therefore he says that, my dear people, if you want that you want to do welfare to this king after death, then become non-envious and keeping Lord in your heart, engaged in your respective duties. So he says, this is the only thing I'm requesting. That if you like me and you want to do something good for me, then you do this. That remain non-envious, don't become envious or jealous of others. Number 2, keep Lord in your heart, adhokshasdhiya. And number 3, engage in your respective dharma, prescribed duties. And he says, this is what is going to be pleasing to me. And if you do that, he says, this is also for your welfare. This is not only for me, but it is also for your benefit, your welfare will come from this. Swartham. So, Swartham eva, this is good for both parties. And he says, this is your me anugraha krita, tarhi me. Then only I will think that you have actually graced me, you have blessed me. So the commentary says, Tasmat he praja bhartu bharan kartu mama pindartham pindadanvat parlokhitartham svesham eva artham karya kurute. So he has used the word here pindartha, bhartu pindartha. Bhartu means he is the master, he is the king. He says that pindadan is done after a person dies, then the shraddha is performed. So he says that if you do this, you are as if performing a shraddha ceremony for me, which means that I will get benefit not only here but even in the other world. So par bhartu pindartham pindadanvat parlokhitartham and swesham eva artham karyam kurte. This is also beneficial for you. Yusmabhi swakritya vikrite satmam kitartha bhavishyati. In other words, he says that if you do your duties properly, then I am perfect. So the responsibility of king therefore is very great. He is responsible for the whole kingdom. So that's why later on we will have this verse where Rishabdev says, Guru na sasyat, Pita na sasyat, Mata na sasyat. One should not become a guru, one should not become a father, mother, guardian, king, if one cannot liberate one's dependents. So king has very great, that's why king was honored like God. Because he is very much responsible for the welfare of the people. So if some king is like this, then this is the best situation for people. So he is giving this all people that please listen. And so I was in New York. You were there, and this guy came, Jehovah Witness, in the train.
I wasn't there.
And he started giving his talk. I thought you were there in New York.
Yeah.
I still remember he started like this, people listen.
Subway.
So he is speaking like this. He says, people listen. Madarthe prathak kopi bharo bhavtam iti bhasa. He says, I am not asking you to do something separate for me. Not that you are doing whatever you are doing and then you have to do something extra for me. He says just do what you are supposed to do, and that is good for everybody. So your life is successful, my life is successful. Swarthameva vadan vishinasti. So what is that swartha? What is that beneficial for you? What will bring? He says, Hey adhoksha jadhiya. He says, fix your mind on the Lord. As he wrote, he cites this verse from Bhagavad Gita, Mayi eva manadatsva, Mayi buddhim niveshe. So iti Bhagavad Gita pramanyat bhagavant bast. So Krishna says that fix your mind on me and absorb your intelligence on me. And then you will come to me, there is no doubt about it. So he says, you worship the Lord. And if you worship the Lord, then that is the perfection of life for both of us. For the king as well as for the people. Yuyam tadanumodadhvam pitri devarshayo malaha kartuhu shasturanugyatus tulyam yatpetya tatphalam. So he says that please approve of this, what I am saying. That this Bhagavad Dharma, this fixing of the mind on the Lord, please approve this. Because he's referring that all these assembled people here, all the Pitris, forefathers, devas, sages, pure saintly beings, he says, I am requesting this, that you approve my statements. Because he says, whatever activities it may be, after death, the person who executed that activity, one who instructed that activity, and one who approved it, they all get the same result. So, if I am saying this and this is good, you approve, you will also benefit, and I will also benefit, we will all benefit. So this is his request. Karyam khalu sarvanumodhanena siddhyati iti ahi. Moreover, a work is completed by everyone's cooperation, everyone's approval. So some people actually execute the job, others support it. They may not be directly involved in it. And some may be just guiding, giving instructions. So they are all part of it, they are all benefiting from it. So if someone is doing something wrong and you approve of it, then you also get the result. If somebody is doing good, you approve of it, that is also. So there is a verse like this. You Goswami quotes this in Bhakti Sandarbha when he is talking about glorification of Bhakti. And Bhakti is so nice that even if you are not executing it, someone is engaged in Bhakti and you approve of it, you say that he is doing very nice, even that will give you the benefit. So this is very interesting point he makes. So Shastuhu Shikshayitu. Shastu means one who instructs, one who teaches. Anugyatur Anumodayitu. Anugyatu is one who is doing Anumodan. Anumodan actually comes from the word mod, means to be happy. Means you feel happy when someone is doing it. That's the meaning of approval. You are not upset, angry, but you feel, oh, this is very nice. Pretya parloke yat phalam tattulya. So he says that after death, then you get equal benefit. Tulyam yat preta tat phalam. So this is his instruction. He will speak more. We'll read that tomorrow. In next class, if there is any question on this.
And I suppose that the king is doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose the king is doing something wrong. Because now the king is giving proper instruction, and then if these duties have been performed properly, then he gets also the benefit and they all reach the perfection. But let's say that he is doing something wrong. So then the people who are dependent on him, they don't have any chance.
No, that's, if he's doing wrong, means he's not doing his duty properly. So a king is not only responsible for his actions, but also responsible of others' actions. That is the meaning of being responsible. A normal individual is responsible for one's own actions. But king or teacher or parents, they are also responsible for the activities of their dependents. They also get implicated in it.
So Babaji, if I were to go out, let's say, I don't know, beat somebody up or something, you're my teacher, you in some way would be responsible for my acting out behavior.
Yeah, if I'm your teacher and I'm responsible for your activities, if you do something wrong, then will it not reflect? You go and beat up, then that person will come and complain to me. That's, you came and beat me up, then I have to listen. I have to solve this problem, I have to be in anxiety for this, isn't it? If you are a teacher in the Gurukula and some Gurukula boy goes outside, does something wrong, the complaint comes to you, isn't it? And you also become implicated in it. If you are in a family, your mother or father, and your son goes and does something wrong, then you also become worried and you are in anxiety. And you also have to take the outcome of it. So this happens here itself. It's visible. What to speak of, what to say after death.
If you go back in world history, we see that Dharma has been abandoned gradually because it has been corrupted. Many things have been done in the name of Dharma that were adharma.
Mm.
So doesn't that mean or call for a constant redefinition of what Dharma is in a particular situation or in a particular time? Right?
And that's why Smriti Shastras were written, they're modified, edited, or new ones were composed for this reason only. Because Smriti Shastras are the ones, they are the code of Dharma for the people. So they have to be modified according to time. And it was done in the past.
But it's not done now.
Because now there is no Dharma state. Which state is Dharma state now?
So how do I as an individual in the globalized world define my Dharma?
No,
Really?
your Dharma is, as it says, adhokshaja dhiya. That is the common Dharma. It means putting the mind on Krishna. So this is for everybody. This does not need any modification.
No, like I previously, when there were the kings and Dharma in the old sense was functioning, there was a lot of protection for the citizens.
Yeah, now there is no protection. That's what I said, that the present governments, they don't protect from Dharma point of view. They may protect that somebody is trying to change your Dharma, or people of one dharma are trying to exploit you, then they may raise their voice, or you may have a right to go and complain. But they are not protecting dharma in the sense that trying to support you, that you can execute your dharma nicely and they will help you. They are not concerned about it. Whether you follow dharma or you don't follow, it's not their concern. So that is modern society.
So can you say when dharmic principles deviate from justice, then they get lost or become meaningless?
Dharmic principles?
Yeah, when dharma deviates from justice, what is just to you, according to, God.
According to what? I don't understand.
No, like, how would I give an example? No, there's wars, for example, that are not dharmic. And people are killed, and there is Holocaust and the whole thing, which is injustice.
So why you call it dharmic principle?
So when in the name of dharma,
Okay, in the name of dharma.
you justify something which is actually, according to the real law of God, an unjust or unjust act.
And then it is not dharma. Because you are already deviating, then it is upadharma. That's what we read. That Indra, he was dressed like a dharmic person, but his action was adharmic, upadharma. So then that is not proper, that has to be rectified. That is the job of the ruler. Nobody is doing adharma under the shelter of dharma, taking advantage of dharma and engaging in adharma. That's what Prithu was trying to do. That Indra was misusing the dharmic dress. That's why he wanted to kill him. But Lord protected him, because Lord protects adharma also. He has to keep adharma also alive. So he gives protection to dharma, and adharma, that's what he did here. So all this pakhanda of dharma also continued. So he wants you to become dharmic. At the same time, he will keep adharma also, so that you know that this is adharma and you have to protect yourself from this. That's the way you get educated.
So one can't really exist without the other.
No, you can exist. You can exist, but God keeps the other one also.
Yeah.
It's for your education, for your understanding. In the spiritual world there is no dharma, there exists not. It's not that you cannot exist. You cannot exist without dharma.
Let me think of a very simple example, just in case I have to explain this to someone. So if you take a little kid and he puts his hand over the fire and he gets burned, then he knows that fire will burn. Then there might be another time when he'll put his hand over the fire and he'll do it really quickly and he doesn't get burned. So he's learning something right then and there, right? If you put your hand and let it stay too long, you'll get burned. Or if you do it quickly, you'll feel something, but you won't burn yourself. And that's the lesson, that's teaching.
Yeah, because if there are no cheaters, then you don't know what is cheating. So then when suppose in dharma it is said don't cheat, then you will never know what it means. Suppose there is absolutely no cheating, you have never heard, seen any example of it, then you will not know what it means.
Cheating is disobedience to God.
So whatever. So that's why dharma is also to be understood, to understand dharma properly. That's what it means. If Indra will not behave like this, we will not know that this is wrong to do that. So it helps us to understand it. But it doesn't mean that if I want to live a dharmic life, then I have to depend on adharma for that. No, that's not true. It's only for understanding. thing is that dharma, they are like duality. Ultimately, you have to go beyond that. That is this Sanatana Dharma, the eternal principle of devotion.
If the system doesn't work properly from both sides, then the result is not coming.
And the result is you suffer.
And then it's a complete mess. Let's say if I am a king, I have to depend on the good behavior of my.
Then you have to depend, means it is your duty to do that. If they don't do, and if you are trying and they don't do, then obviously you do your duty. That's why he is requesting them. It's like parents want that their children behave properly. If they don't behave, they suffer.
Now here is more because the Lord is not pleased. The result is that they cannot achieve to please the Lord. Here is quite complication. I mean, I make an example now with our rulers nowadays. They just cheat and take everything as much as possible out of the people. They don't care about anything. They make rules
So
for
that's why these
themselves.
kings were trained to be like this. Now you also cannot really blame these rulers at present because they are not trained. They don't even know it. There is no training. So the kings, they had this pride that I am a king and this is my duty to do it. That is saying. So they were also trained from their childhood that when you grow you have to become a king. The princes were trained and this is your duty, so they also knew this. Now when somebody is born in childhood, he does not know that he is going to become president of a country or he is going to become a politician. He didn't have that feeling unless it is coming in the family, like in India we have this Gandhi family. So this is something like, it has become like a royal family. Whether they are trained or not, but at least they feel like they have to be in politics.
Gosh. Okay. Let's say Krishna wants Dharma to be in place, and Shiva works against that. It's like when everything is adharmic, he's doing what he needs to do to keep everybody distracted. So what does, how does Krishna look? Shiva's part of Krishna, so what is, Shiva's just doing his job.
Yeah, so he wants that you follow what Krishna is saying and not Shiva.
So you would
These
you
three are
say
his
that to a
features,
Shaivite?
but Srayam Khalu Tattan Sattva Nrinamsu. The benefit will come only by following the Sattva, means the Vishnu form.
The Vishnu form.
So that's what you have to do. They are doing their duty, Krishna is doing and Vishnu is doing and Brahma is doing, but what is your duty? Follow Vishnu, not Shiva. Not that you say, well, Shiva is also God and he is doing this, no problem. That's the meaning of understanding the Shastra. Otherwise, he says, I am everything. Sarvam Atmanosi Tatosi Sarvam. I am everything. Okay.